Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the Mr. Fix-It channel. Yeah, I got my cross cart in the shop here, and after that rip out there at the park, I just want to go through everything, do some maintenance, grease and stuff, but primarily what I want to do is I want to check out this reverse box. I'm going to take this thing off, take it apart, and just see if there's any wear going on in there. Just curious. Stay tuned.
I was sitting out there in the shed one evening, not doing too much of nothing, just kind of staring at the wall and...
Alright, so for those of you who have not seen this, this is a planetary reduction gearbox. So in forward motion, all of this in here spins along with this. So all this moves. And when you shift it in reverse, then it disengages from the planet carrier and spins the planets, and then that drives this piece in reverse. There's not really much going on in here. It's basically just riding on the shaft bearings, which, inspecting the shaft bearings, I don't see any wear on that, so that looks perfect. Really what I need to do is get all the grease cleaned out of this and have a really good look at everything. So let me get all this cleaned up and we'll continue. Alright, got all those loose now. Okay, we got this bearing in here. I'm going to go ahead and take this thing out. Flip this thing over. Oh, I need snap ring pliers. Let me grab those. Gotta flip them. Do-do-do. Hold on to this thing. It'll flick off of there and head across the shop and you'll never see it again. Okay, so that released the planet carrier. You can see how this thing just rides back and forth on that shaft, and this thing shifts like this. That's all this does. Not much to it. So that bearing feels, it feels perfect. Nothing wrong with that bearing. It's a 6003ZZ bearing. Looks like the manufacturer's stamp is F and F, so it's just shielded on the one side. I heard a chunk of something. What was that? Okay, the carrier here. We'll take the shift fork off. Spring off. A little chunky bit right there. What is that a piece of? It's a piece of something. Kind of hook shaped, real flat, thin chunk of something there. Using molybdenum disulfide grease on this, moly grease. I don't have any. I'll have to go get some to put back in this. So this shaft here is dry as a bone. That should have grease on it, so I'll make sure I grease that when I reassemble it. Inspect it here. I see very minimal wear here and just a bit on the pads. The backside, I mean it's just worn. It's just worn the black hardening. You know, when they harden it, the metal turns black. Let's just rub that off. Not much wear. There's a little bit. I don't know if they did that from the factory, but that corner is rounded off on both of them. I'd say it's factory, because I don't see any reason why that would wear that way, because it just rides in this slot. Just rides in there. So that was probably made like that on purpose. So no wear on the shift fork at all. Planet carrier. Okay, we got these three gears. A little bit up and down movement on all of them. I'd say that's probably built into it. It's like the little axle for this gear is run through and then peened over on the back. Alright, I am seeing some metal flake coming off of this part. It's all over my rag here now. See if we can figure out where that's coming from. I got a good guess of where it's coming from, but we'll see here. Get it all cleaned up first. Alright, let me get a fresh rag that's not coated in metal. Okay, now we got this sun gear in the center here. No metal flakes on this. Splines look good. So these gear teeth on the back side, they're kind of rounded off this way, and I'm not sure if that was made from the factory that way, because this side is squared off. It's possible that they were rounded off from the factory because of how it engages into here, although that could be ware, and that could be where all the metal flakes coming from, because this, you can see there's like a gear in the planet carrier. This gear sets into that. When you're shifting in and out of reverse, that's what comes out. See, you can move it this way, but when it goes in here, it locks it all together. This is where I believe the weak point is on this unit. Now we got the ring gear. There is a sprocket bolted on. Now this sprocket, you can't really find this sprocket for sale. You have to buy the whole unit. This is a 530 pitch. It's a special sprocket. It's hollowed out on the inside, and it sets on here like this, and it's bolted in with 6 bolts. This cannot be changed. You can't change this pitch. You can't change the ratio. You can't even buy just this gear by itself that I can find. So that's a worry to me, because once this sprocket wears out, how am I going to get another one? Am I going to have to buy a whole nother reverse box? So this reverse box, this thing, I found it on like Amazon and some other like, what's that, Alibaba, eBay. I have found this unit for around $200, brand new. Although they're like a zinc oxide, like that gold zinc plating color, they're not black like this one. All the ones that I've seen that are black like this one are $500 or more. So I'm guessing that this is the actual factory unit, and the gold zinc colored ones are an aftermarket. I don't know anything about the aftermarket ones. All I know is about this one that I have. So we got a bearing in here. I'm not sure if, I think this bearing is pressed in. Yeah, this bearing's pressed in. You can see the race to it right there. So I'm not going to mess with that. This sprocket is loose. So it looks like I need to take these bolts out. These bolts are tabbed in with these plates. So that's loose. So I need to take all these loose and tighten that up. Alright, I use a wood chisel for this. This is what I use this for. I don't work on wood, so don't yell at me in the comments about using this tool wrong, because this is the only reason why I have this. It's for this right here, bending these tags over. So you can see how this is a very special sprocket, how it's bored out to fit over this. There's no other option other than this 16-tooth sprocket, which sucks. Alright, so the very first buggy I built, the Junkyard Dog, there's videos of it, but you got to go way back on my channel to find it. Now, I would have loved to have had reverse on that, and ever since I built that Kart, I've been looking for a way to have reverse on a motorcycle engine. There was some options, but man, they were expensive. We're talking $2,500, $3,500, $4,500, and all it does is shift and reverse. That's a lot of money. I mean, like my first buggy, I had less than $100 building that thing, because I built it all out of junk stuff I had laying around. And this is a much cheaper option, but it's a difficult option. For the fact that you have to have that shaft from the go-kart, and you have to have another shaft, like how I set it up on mine. There's a jack shaft, so the engine chains runs down to the jack shaft, and that jack shaft runs to the reverse box. Now I took the reverse box shaft, I bored it out, turned it down, pressed the two pieces together, and welded it up on my lathe. So I took the two shafts, the one from the jack shaft and the one from the reverse shaft, and made one shaft out of it. That's the tricky part about this reverse. Now, like I said, I don't know anything about the aftermarket, the gold zinc colored units, but those are, the last time I haven't looked for a while, but the last time I looked, they were around $200. I don't know what the price is doing now, but that's a much cheaper option than $2,500, $3,000, $4,500 for a reverse. And also, some of the more expensive reverses, they can handle way more power. They are guaranteed for 500, 600 horsepower. That being said, there's no ratings for this anywhere on the internet. My engine puts out 50 horsepower. It's very heavily gear reduced. You know what I mean? So it's like a tractor. Okay. A few of you have asked me about making them this reverse setup that I have on this. That may be possible. You would have to get with me down in the comments or maybe email me. I'll drop my email down in the comments in a pinned comment. Email me and we'll discuss that, because probably what's going to happen if something like that was to happen, I would need to know what kind of jack shaft you're using if you want to use the exact same part. If you did it exactly the way I did mine, that would probably be the easiest for me, because there won't be no question, is this shaft going to work and blah blah blah. I've already done it once. So that would be the easiest way for me to do it. I would need that jack shaft out of the Polaris, and I would need the shaft for the GY6. Just type in GY6 hammerhead go-kart reverse. So there's two shafts. There's a short shaft and a long shaft. The short shaft is no longer available, so it would have to be made out of the long shaft, which is what I've got as the long shaft. So if you find it really doesn't matter. It's all going to be basically up to you and where your gear spacing is and how you're setting up your cart. But if I had those two shafts, I could probably turn them and make a few of them. That I might have. We'll talk about that. Email me. We'll figure something out. Also, I want to add here that I don't know what engine you're going to be running this thing through. If you're putting a Hayabusa motor on this thing, I don't think this is going to handle that kind of power. You know what I'm saying? So I can't really guarantee it. I can't even guarantee it for the 50 horsepower that I got, because I haven't really put that many miles on it. So I haven't reset my trip gauge, but I think since I put the reverse on there, I've probably put 200 miles on it. 250, maybe somewhere around there, miles. And a lot of that was here at the house. Of course, I'm not easy on this thing when I'm here at the house, because if I break, I'm fine. But when I took it out to the park, I was being pretty gentle with it. I wasn't giving it full beans, but I was giving it some beans. So I can't guarantee you this thing's going to hold together, because I don't even know if it's going to hold together. So, like I said, email me. Alright, got this thing completely disassembled here except for this bearing. I'm not going to press that out. There's no point in that. It's just fine. I want to degrease everything, and if there's any more metal fragments in there, I want to make sure I get those out for sure. Now, the metal fragments, so looking over all this, I see absolutely nowhere except for the interface between this gear, this end of this gear, and the splines basically in the carrier. This is where all the wares came from. Now, when I got this package, it was used. It came off of a go-kart that had seen better days. Let's just leave it at that. I had no idea the use or the wear or the treatment of this unit. So a lot of this metal fragments could be from before I got it, but I don't know. I'm going to put it back, I'm going to clean, put it back together, run it, and I'm going to pull it back apart again, and I'm going to look again. I'm going to keep an eye on this thing. So all the wear is from here, and I believe this is, so you're rolling in forward and you jam it in reverse. That's what's happening, right? These are slipping together. So if you always come to a stop, sometimes it'll get caught between, like right there, and not go in. So just let out on the clutch, or just get it to roll just a little bit as you're pulling on the lever, and it'll slip in. So if you try to engage this while you're rolling, you will destroy it. And I think that's where all the metal flake is coming from, is from that right there. It's from this slipping into place. This is not synchronized at all. So come to a complete stop before you shift in reverse and gently rock it to get it to go in, and then you're locked in and you can go. So as long as you pay attention to that, every time you go from forward to reverse or reverse to forward, it goes both ways, right? You don't want to slip this thing coming out either. Then it should be good to go. I don't see any wear. There's no wear except for right there. And that easily could have happened before I got it, because I always make sure I come to a stop. I have slipped it a couple times by accident. This is the weak link in this unit. Don't wear that out and it should be fine. Okay, I got this thing clean. This is pretty clever how they did this. So down in these gears, there's a hole there, down in the root of that tooth. And on the opposite side, there's another one. And what it looks like is as this rolls alongside the ring gear, it forces grease into the bearings. Pretty clever. And also for this bearing that goes in the center of this, there's also a hole in this race. So as this gets pushed into here, it forces grease into this bearing. Very clever, like that design. Okay, also a little bit more on how this thing works. You got these 3 pins here, and they mesh with these 6 holes here. There is a bit of wear on these, and again, these will slide together as it's rolling in the gear. So if you try to pull that lever, I don't know if you can see that or not, these will slide in. So if you get in between gears, it'll be here, and then you got to roll it just a little bit to drop it in. So that's another wear point right there. So if I hold this all together like this is the shifting action. Forward, reverse. I got this clean. Now I wouldn't eat off of it or anything, but it is clean. Got some brand new molybdenum disulfide grease, gray grease, moly grease. Let's get this thing put back together. All right, I'm gonna get this thing all greased back up. Start by packing this bearing in. I'll go ahead and I'm gonna grease the whole back of this. So I mean, overall it looks like a pretty good unit. There's not much here to go wrong. Okay, we'll set that aside like that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and grease this up. Now, until the grease gets worked into these holes, I'm just gonna pre-lube this with some motor oil. That way it's not gonna work dry. All right, now I gotta get this channel where the fork rides. Gotta get that packed with grease in here. This has got to go on, and then this bolt can go in. I like how they reinforce this with this heavy steel plate. This is messy. And that holds that from coming too far out. Okay, now we got this bearing. I'm gonna go ahead and just pack this bearing up. Okay, we got that bearing, inner bearing race. And we got the sun gear. We got this bearing in the ring gear. Now this part has an oiler right there. See that oiler? But you can't really get to it with the sprocket installed, so I'm just going to pack this with grease. The only time this bearing's in motion is when it's in reverse. Just kind of got to wiggle it together like that. Okay, I'll go ahead and put these fasteners back in. Oh, there went my glove. Good thing I'm done with the greasy bits. Sprocket's got a little bit of wear on it. We need to keep trying to find another replacement sprocket for this. The way I got it, because it's not going to last forever. And there, that's assembled. I just got to torque all the bolts down, bend them tabs over, and then that's ready to go back on the machine. Alright, while I was in here doing some maintenance, I also lubed up my shifter cable, and I moved the reverse lever down to a more permanent location instead of up here on the side, because it was kind of, it was in the way. I didn't like it there. Moved it down there. So now that they got that all put back together, I'm going to go ahead and finish my maintenance. I lube the shifter cable, I need to tighten and lube the chains and change the oil, I need to grease all the grease points. Just regular maintenance. Got to keep her going. I took the spoiler off while I'm riding out there at the park. I'm afraid I'm going to decapitate a dirt biker or something with it. I think that's dangerous. I took that off of there. Safety and all. Well, it looks like the little reverse box is hanging in there. I don't know how, but it's hanging in there. I don't see much wear in there, so I think it's gonna do the thing. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. Don't be afraid to fix it. Thanks for watching.